This is just a short sequence to help with the opening of the pelvis. So if you sit on your chair or stool or whatever sitting surface you have, you'll come forward a bit so that you can feel your sitting bones. And you can just start by shifting forward with your weight, shifting back so you just feel what it feels like to move on your sitting bones. And then you can just start to add a little rounding. So this is like a seated cat-cow rounding and arching. It doesn't have to be your biggest movement. We're mainly focusing on the pelvis and lower spine. So starting to feel into your two sitting bones, your pubic bone in the front, the tailbone in the back. You might become aware of your sacrum, your lower spine, the hip bones. So just feeling that round shape and that small arch so that you start to feel into what happens when your pelvis rounds. And then when your pelvis goes the other way, this is what we're trying now to focus on is the pubic bone back, the tailbone back. And just one more time to just warm that area up. And then from here, you'll open the legs. And with the same idea, you're going to tip the pelvis forward and come back. I change my view back. So the legs are wide, your arms can support you. So just feeling the pelvis going forward. So we get that tipping action of the pubic bone back. Side again. So that looks like pubic bone back. And that's going to help bring the legs into the socket and start to release the sacrum and lower back. And if that feels good, then you can stay here. You can actually drop the arms down, hands to floor, depending on how high or low your chair is. And then coming back, leading with the head, then the arms, hands back to the thighs to come back so that you're back to your upright position. And then from here, we can go into a leg extension, stretch the knees extended. And here's where you're going to tip the pelvis so that you can get into that upper hamstring, lower gluteal, into those fibers. And then you can change. The other leg goes straight out, and you're looking for pubic bone back, pelvis rotates, tail goes back. And you can take this as slow as you need. I sometimes take it into a little slow walking rhythm. And really being present with that tipping of the pelvis. So we get that happening really from pubic bone, the sitting bones, the tail. It's easy to do it from the ribs. So you're trying to really listen for your sitting bones rolling back, your pelvic floor, putting your awareness in the pelvic floor widening, the sitting bones widening. And then taking this into ankle to knee, so this can become a piriformis and gluteal opener. And here, same thing, pubic bone back, rotating the pelvis, so you can target more the tissue in the posterior hip. So taking the other leg, ankle to knee, trying to feel your sitting bones level, sitting bones rolling back, hips rolling back. And this can certainly progress into more of a forward bend, but you want to organize the legs first, legs into the pelvis, pelvis rotating, pubic bone back, and then there can be more of a relaxation. And you can also do that same action, pelvis rotating back, to come into a forward bend. This would be the same action that you would want to use if you were coming from your all fours into your child's pose. So that's the same place that we're seeing that. We're trying not to go into a child's pose with that rounding, but pubic bone back. So that's going to get your legs to be nicely situated in the socket. And then from here, you can go into your child's pose variation. So finally, you'll take your chair, your bed, your counter, you'll come up to a standing all fours position. And this is like a modified down dog. So you're going to come where your shoulders are higher at first. And what we'll do is take a small bend of the knees or squat action and then straighten the legs. And what you're looking for is that pubic bone to glide backwards. So the pubic bone is gliding back, the tail is going up, the sitting bones are widening as you bend. Again, we're trying not to be in this round position. You're also not trying to do it from the ribs or dropping the shoulders. So if you do need more space, you can step back. But notice I'm really keeping the shoulders where they are. And then this could advance into a down dog. But when you go into your down dog, I suggest that come back to the all fours. So it's very easy. I just actually demonstrated a little bit of dropping into the shoulder. We want to open up the pelvis. And when we don't have that, when we're tight or we're limited there, or there's restrictions, we try to get movement somewhere else. So it's either the shoulders or the ribs. So keep your shoulders up a little higher so that you can lead with your pubic bone to take you into your dog. You can also come out of it a little bit and then go back into the pubic bone going back. You can also take it more into a plank, and it's that same action. So we have a bigger range of motion to move the pelvis. And as we're coming back into plank, we're actually trying to bring the pelvis into neutral, not over tuck, not stay in the arch, but trying to find that place. And that can be tricky, so just do the best you can. Pubic bone back, so here's again, pubic bone back, sitting bones back. See how that's a different movement organization than bringing the shoulders down and dropping down. Can always come back. For another squat, you can go a little wider with the feet. You can go more narrow, practicing that in the different positions. You can drop down and go into a hamstring stretch here. We're bringing that same idea, that same concept of the pelvis rotating. Pubic bone back. You can also do the standing. So if you can have a wall for support, foot on a chair, and same thing, pelvis goes back. And this is a little bit low, but I can also be in that kind of pre-pigeon position or ankle to knee and do the same thing to stretch. So the knees bent and turned out. So what that looks like from here, and just let the leg open. I do the best to find level hips, and it's pubic bone back, tailbone back. And then just taking a moment to feel your body and standing, to feel a moment a centeredness, a grounding, just to notice what you feel. And hopefully that will help organize your pelvis, open up the lower back and the posterior chain.